Currently, everything is getting wrecked, including my bank account. Crypto winter headlines are back, and everyone I know is asking the same thing. With Bitcoin down nearly 50% from its all-time high, who the hell is still bullish on Bitcoin? Well, I'm still kind of bullish on Bitcoin. And with Bitcoin Treasury companies like MicroStrategy or MetaPlanet being down nearly 60 to 70% of their all-time highs, why would anyone still be bullish on Bitcoin Treasury companies? Hi Motions, this is Beyond Bitcoin. Let's discuss. Like I said in the intro, yeah, everything's getting wrecked right now, including our bank accounts. Bitcoin is down nearly 50% from its all-time high, and Bitcoin Treasury plays like Strategy and MetaPlanet are crushed even harder, down 60 to 70% from their peaks. So who the hell is still bullish? Are you? Let me know in the comments below. But me, I'm still bullish. And one of the biggest reasons is Bitcoin isn't like any other asset we've ever seen. Bitcoin has a hard cap of just 21 million coins. No more of it can be printed. And if the buying pressure keeps stacking from my $20 DCA buys all the way up to Wall Street giants like Michael Saylor loading up big, then how long can this dip that we're experiencing really last? The math doesn't lie. Demand keeps climbing while supply literally is capped forever. Listen to Saylor break it down himself, how he sees Bitcoin recovering from this dip, why allocation to Bitcoin is the ultimate move in this environment, and why people modeling this aren't guessing. Roll the clip.
I'm thinking that the next $50 billion won't get me 3.2. It'll probably get me 1% or less. And I'm thinking if I come up with a few hundred billion, I might, what I've said is if we get to 5% of the network, Bitcoin's going to be $1 million a coin. If I get to 7.5% of the network, it'll be 10 million a coin. So think of it as I'm buying something getting exponentially more expensive using exponentially more money. And where do we top out? I think we top out between 5 and 7.5%, and then we just exponentially slow down.
This isn't a price prediction. This isn't supply saturation. Saylor's not asking what's Bitcoin going to be worth. He's asking how much of the network can anyone realistically own before price stops cooperating. That's an allocation problem, not a trading one. And this isn't isolated to one balance sheet. The same kind of thinking is showing up all over the Bitcoin ecosystem.
But what I'll tell listeners is use your imagination, right? Like the business is founded by myself and Tether. And, if we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5% of the Bitcoin network and, with the Tether network and a lot of experience and lessons at Strike and my life lived there, we think the combination of all, it's going to be really interesting. There's a lot of good we can do for the world.
Mallards may sound a bit extreme here, but here's what comes next. Even as price is slogging away like it's crossing the Atlantic with a rowboat, allocation of Bitcoin is an entirely different beast. And as Saylor puts it, this isn't about one company.
There will be thousands and thousands of treasury companies, just like there's thousands of insurance companies, thousands of funds, thousands of banks. And why will they exist? They will exist because the risk-free fiat credit rate is 50 basis points in Japan and minus 50 basis points in Switzerland and 200 basis points in Europe and 400 basis points in the US, going to 300 basis points soon. And the world wants 10%.
Notice what's missing? No talk of charts, no talk of tops, no talk of timing, just percentage ownership of a finite system. Different companies, different models, same constraint, 21 million coins.
Let's just see where things stand to start the year off. Bitcoin having a rough start to the year, down close to 13% so far this year. You actually look back to Sunday right here. You can see that Bitcoin fell to its lowest going back to November 7th of 2024. You know what? Scratch that. Now we're even further below than that at 76,382. Back then, there was a lot of optimism in November of 2024. President Trump had just won the election. Hopes were high for what Bitcoin would do. Sentiment, though, right now, not improving because analysts are warning that without a fresh catalyst or narrative to reignite interest, sentiment, Scarlett, becomes self-defeating.
All right, let's zoom out as well, because this negative sentiment has really been the case since the start of the fourth quarter. Bitcoin is down more than 35%, almost 40% from its peak back in October. Of course, drawdowns of this magnitude, not exactly uncommon for Bitcoin.
Sentiment becomes self-defeating. That line matters more than price. And yes, I know these clips are a bit outdated. I'm sure when you watch this, Bitcoin will be at a much lower price. That way you can dunk on me in the comments. I get it. But while sentiment collapses from retail buyers, it just so happens to be the condition institutions require for an entry point. Here's the mistake that most people make. They think price is the signal. It isn't. They think a chart plans the course. It doesn't. They think Jersey Mike sandwiches are voluminous. They're not. Price is emotional. Structure is intentional. Jersey Mike sandwiches are soggy. It's just the truth, guys.
You know, when I look at the chart, 70 to 100 is probably the new range. And, you know, we're at 76. So I think we're towards the bottom end of the range. There's a lot of pessimism out there. A lot of leverage has been taken out of the system. Bitcoin was not supposed to act like this, right? You had gold prices higher, the NASDAQ higher, rates going lower. This was the Trump administration was very pro-crypto. And so, you know, something went wrong. You know, the crypto market is still less than 20 years old, right? Right. I think Bitcoin 09, so we're 16 years old. And it's immature. We had a huge run up from, you know, where people bought it at 50, 100, 1,000, 2,000, 10,000, all the way to 100, 130,000. And I think what ended up happening was people finally started taking profits. After we crossed 100, it felt like the community had won. And it was that sigh of relief, like we did it. We created this amazing ecosystem, this amazing asset. And there's been kind of like a seller's virus that got into the market. People blamed it on quantum. I don't think quantum in the long run is really the reason. I think there was selling, and that selling is getting, you know, executed in the market. There was buying, sure, lots of new institutions are coming in.
A lot of leverage has been taken out. When leverage exists in the system, price doesn't fall because Bitcoin failed once again. Price falls because weak positioning is being removed. Weak hands, salad fingers. This is how markets reset. And it sure is looking like Bitcoin is resetting at the moment. Right, guys? It's just a reset. We couldn't possibly go any lower than this. Now let's talk about the most misunderstood part of this cycle, Bitcoin Treasury companies. I mean, that's what's on your mind, right? Because right now, they all look like failures, much like I look like to my family. And that's exactly why they matter. But just look at these headlines. Public companies now control nearly 5% of Bitcoin supply. Over 3% of all Bitcoin is held by treasury companies. AMDAX targeting 1% of total Bitcoin supply. Solidian Technology, whoever that is, allocating 60% of excess cash flow into Bitcoin. Bitcoin's strategic partnership with Metalpha just announced allocating up to 20% of annual net profit. These stories keep coming, on X anyway. Does the feed ever stop? While price bleeds, supply is being removed. Quietly. Shh. Systematically. And with quiet systematics. Oh yeah, quiet systematics.
There are too many digital asset treasury companies today with no differentiation.
Too many digital asset treasury companies today with no differentiation, trading below the value of the Bitcoin that they hold. This reads more like natural selection than a warning to retail. Here's the truth, and it's gonna be uncomfortable because ChatGPT told me it is. Public markets price cash flow today. Bitcoin strategies price optionality tomorrow. Until Bitcoin reprices higher, these companies look inefficient. They look reckless. They look wrong, which is why only the strongest survive.
Given how much sentiment and momentum on crypto has really shifted since last October.
Well, I think over the last week or two, we've certainly seen deleveraging and probably a little bit of a risk-off trade. You know, I think it's one of the reasons why we're so excited about Hyperliquid, which I always try and simplify things a little bit, Scarlett, but if you think about Bitcoin and the volatility of Bitcoin, it's really a store of value.
Volatility is not the same as business value. This isn't failure, this is consolidation. And consolidation always happens before repricing. If you're beginning to understand why institutions are buying up Bitcoin and banks are afraid of Bitcoin, then you'll also understand why it's crucial to have access to communication outside of this system. And if you want a way to keep communication lines open under any circumstances, then you need to check out sat123.com. Sat123.com makes it simple to keep in touch with your loved ones and stay connected even when you're off grid with their wide variety of satellite phones and survival gear. And for a limited time only, you can head to sat123.com and use the promo code SIMPLY. That's SIMPLY. 15% off your entire purchase. Stay strong, stay connected with sat123.com. And if Bitcoin is really starting to click for you, here's the next step: self-custody. TheBitcoinWay.com teaches you how to hold your own Bitcoin safely, without fear, without confusion, and without trusting a third party. Because the biggest risk in Bitcoin isn't price, it's not knowing what you're doing. Visit thebitcoinway.com/beyondbitcoin for a free 30-minute consultation and take control of your money the way Bitcoin was designed. Here's the real divide. Main Street is price sensitive. Wall Street is structure sensitive. Retail exits when price falls. Hopium disappears. It'll never disappear here, folks. And your wife's patience runs out. But institutions enter when volatility discourages participation, sellers are forced to sell, and accumulation doesn't move price against them.
All right, let's zoom out as well, because this negative sentiment has really been the case since the start of the fourth quarter. Bitcoin is down more than 35%, almost 40% from its peak back in October. Of course, drawdowns of this magnitude, not exactly uncommon for Bitcoin, but this time around, it has failed to respond to typical drivers like US dollar weakness or geopolitical risk. And on top of that, Bitcoin is decoupling from other assets, leaving it increasingly directionless and almost just kind of drifting, Tim.
So while price grabs attention, the magic happens in the background, like a card trick.
Listen, there's a couple things that could help, right? Market structure bill passing would be a big deal. People are really pessimistic on it right now.
Okay.
I actually am a little more optimistic that things get done because I think both sides want it done, but we'll see.
So what is the catalyst that turns the tide right now? You mentioned a market structure bill. Maybe that will bring some optimism, but I don't know. Is there anything else that could turn around this trade?
Yeah, listen, part of this acceleration recently downwards is the thought that Kevin Warsh is going to be very hawkish. Listen, what I think Kevin did is he took out the tail risks for inflation. The Republican senators have put a lot of time in this and have a lot at stake, right?
Yeah.
Trump is the quote crypto president. You've got the House and the Senate. You better be able to pass a crypto bill, or you look pretty weak.
Give us
right?
give us your view on when you think that market structure bill will pass.
And the Democrats have the same. The Democrats don't want the crypto pack, which just came out and said we've got $190 million of a bazooka ready to shoot at people that stand in the way of crypto. And so the Dems just want to pass this thing and have crypto off the table in politics. It never should have been political. It always should have been a bipartisan issue. Elizabeth Warren made it political.
Okay.
Gary Gensler made it political.
Well,
and so, listen, I think this is, 2 weeks, it's 6 weeks. And I think my hope is we have something done.
Market structure bill passing would be a big deal. And I wonder if it's passed already by the time you see this. But I feel like it's been passing for like the last month already, or it's passed already. I don't know. There's always a tweet about Trump signing something at 3 o'clock regarding the market structure bill. I don't know. But I digress. Capital doesn't need excitement. It needs permission. And it appears the market movers aren't trying to reward you. They're trying to exhaust you. They're exhausting people who need confirmation, momentum, applause, and they're rewarding people who don't need these things. This isn't a transfer from poor to rich. It's a transfer from the impatient to the indifferent. You like that one? Bitcoin isn't just money. It's also the people. ClubOrange, formerly the Orange Pill app, is where Bitcoiners actually talk, learn, and share ideas without all the noise. No shadow bans, just Signal. You can find meetups over there, any kind of Bitcoin events. Download the app or visit cluborange.org today. And if you do, you've got to reach out to me directly. You can DM me. I'm at Oceans. I read all of my messages there. Shout out to all you guys that I've been meeting up with recently. Thank you so much for watching these videos and reaching out to me on ClubOrange. This time in the market does not feel good because losing economic energy, purchasing power never feels good unless you're buying. Then, my friend, you're probably feeling pretty sweet. But if you're one of the folks out there where this does not feel good, keep in mind, this is what allocation looks like before repricing. Low sentiment, supply being removed while attention fades, and then boom, ripped to 1 million. Right, Samson Mao? I'm Oceans. This is Beyond Bitcoin. You can also reach out to me further at RunDanceBitcoin on X. Thank you so much for watching this video. And if you like what you see and you want to see more, make sure you hit that like button below, or you can subscribe to the Simply Bitcoin channel for more content like this. We're coming out with it every single day of the week.